Life isn't fair. How to deal with the unfairness of life. That's what we're going to talk about today. I'm a writer and I publish my work online, which means I get a lot of comments. A lot of them are positive, some negative, some where they're trying to offer thoughtful critique, some where they're just trolling. It doesn't really bother me that much, especially since I've been doing it for so long. But there's a certain kind of comment that I want to speak about because it just speaks to the general mindset of people in society, and it's so poisonous. And if you don't eradicate this belief, you are going to end up living a life of misery. Life is not going to treat you well, okay? Everything I talk about is how to put yourself in the best position for your life based on your circumstances, all of which vary. And it often comes down to the message that nobody is going to come and save you. I actually wish the idea of utopia, that everything could work out for everyone and everyone could be taken care of and happy and successful and healthy. I genuinely wish that were true. But it's not. It's just objectively not true. So while I write in a way where I try to incorporate different perspectives, like in my new book I'm working on, it's called Real Help. I'm trying to give the real deal. I mention the fact that there are many factors outside of your control that can dictate how your life goes. DNA, gender, religion, circumstances, environment, where you grew up. If you are born into an impoverished situation, your odds of success are by definition much lower, without a doubt. And I take all those different things into account. And I even acknowledge that there are certain people in sections of society that it's really hard to help. Like my self-improvement book may not work in the hood in Milwaukee where I grew up. You know, it may not work in those areas. But what bothers me and makes me sad is for people who are of general intelligence, have a 100 IQ, working class to middle class people who act like the sky is falling. You know, they act like the message of self-reliance and personal responsibility is bad. And here's what they do. There's a technique called arguing ad absurdum. So what does arguing ad absurdum mean? It means you take someone's point and then you try to make the most absurd logical extension to the argument, right? So I often write about the idea that no one's coming to save you, that the government or your employer or this or that isn't going to just help you ascend and have real upward mobility. But then people will comment on things like, oh, so are you saying people shouldn't seek help to go to social workers and stuff? It's like, no, that's not what I'm saying. And you know that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is for the average, reasonably intelligent human being who is not impoverished, your life is your responsibility. And nobody is going to come help you. Actually, the people who are destitute, at least they actually do get help. There are programs, right? There are programs for the destitute. And then you have the rich at the top, the 1%, whatever, and they're laughing all the way to the bank. So you know who actually gets screwed if they don't practice self-reliance? You. The average person who is living in a Western civilized society, who isn't poor enough to get assistance, but who also isn't rich enough to kind of escape the rat race. It's the middle. You are the people who are going to need self-reliance. Because if you don't, the world is going to treat you unfairly. If you're a woman, you're going to have to navigate the world as a woman. And there are advantages and disadvantages to that. If you are of a different skin color, you're going to have advantages and disadvantages to that. I'm a black male. Not exactly the most successful category of individuals in our society, black males, okay? I've been to jail, okay? So I think it's very funny when, these well-intentioned people come and comment and are telling me to check my privilege or what I've gone through. I'm a black male who's been through the racist aspects of the criminal justice system. But you know what? When I got through with that, I didn't just throw my hands at the sky and say, oh, I'm screwed. Nope. I went through and got the steps to get out of there and still created my own thing in spite of that, right? So there's so many different variables to account for. But what people like to do is they like to reduce the arguments down to whatever makes them feel better about the fact that they're not doing what they want to do with their life. And it's not that I'm mad that they're leaving these comments. It's that I feel bad for them because I know what their future with that type of attitude is going to be like. I've been doing this for a while. I'm used to negative comments, but some of the ones I've been getting are kind of pointing to this new zeitgeist in society that is really, quite frankly, scary. Okay? The new kind of mantra of society is that life should be fair. Everybody should get a handout, this or that. If your life isn't going exactly the way you want it to, it's someone else's fault. It's not yours. It's this helpless ethos of the masses. And, some of it is well intentioned. Some people just want to do good, and that makes sense. Some people, politicians, they're just spinning it to get you to be on their side, right? So they're malicious with their intent. But by and large, the people who are going to fall for this idea of the average American person being shackled down by the man, if you believe that, you are not going to have a very good future, okay? I'm saying that because I care. I'm saying that because I know. So there's gonna be different gaps. I wrote about the idea of mindset inequality. So there's income inequality where the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. That's true. But there is a mindset inequality that's going on right now too. The optimistic are getting more optimistic. There are people like me. I'm in a group with 24 writers who make a full-time living just publishing their work on the internet. And it costs $0 for them to start the blogs on this platform that we use to make money. I know people in e-commerce. I know people who sell books. I know people who just take their talents and skills and turn them into money. I know people who are veering way high on optimism. And you know what? We are getting very successful. It's true. But then there's people on the pessimist curve that, regardless of the fact that you can start a business online for less than $100, regardless of the fact that there are websites that will let you publish your work for free, regardless of the fact that there are booming new industries and trades that you can go to for little to no debt, regardless of the fact that there are coding schools like Lambda School who will let you go there for free and will only make you pay if if you get a job. There's so many opportunities abundant, but people are splitting off. And there's the extreme optimist and the extreme pessimist. And for the extreme pessimist, job opportunities are going to be limited. Success is going to be limited. They are going to be reduced to a life where they go through the motions every day until they die, and the only refuge they can have from the monotony of their life is to go home and watch TV for 3 hours a day, eat crap, get unhealthy, and die. Okay? You got to realize what's going on right now. I've noticed this trend in society where we're moving towards this just super helplessness. Everyone has a gripe. Life isn't fair. I wish life was. I wish it was. I wish it was. I wished the scales of society would tip evenly. I do. But that's not the way it works. And that's not the way it has ever worked. Read history. read biographies, read about the past. There is no such thing as this magical utopia. And any time they have tried to pull it off, hundreds of millions of people have died, all right? And this is not even a political conversation. I'm just getting to the point that it's your life. And deep down, regardless of whatever picture of reality you want to paint, the underlying reality is still there. So go ahead. Like if you want to wait for the politicians to save you, like when your guy or gal gets in office, everything's going to be okay. All right, we'll see. Let's wait until we have a new president and then tell me why your life still sucks after that. You know? And I'm just saying this, I'm not angry, I'm just passionate because the entire mission of what I want to do is help people see how the world really works. There are really great things about the world, and there are really negative things about the world, and you have to learn how to navigate both. There are great things, there are opportunities, but there are negative things. You will get stereotyped. You will get unjustly thwarted by someone. People less talented than you will succeed. There is a lot of luck involved in success. You are priced out of a lot of life paths because of your DNA and circumstances. All of these things are true. But it makes no sense to only focus on the negative variables. I honor that the negative variables are there. They're definitely there. Who in their right mind would say that life is fair or that there aren't injustices in the world or that people are treated unequally? I don't know how to solve those big societal problems. And I'll be the first to admit that like maybe the stuff that I'm talking about isn't necessarily going to work for the most destitute, even though there are still anomalies and outliers in that. But granted, those rags to riches stories are much less common in the very poorest, destitute parts of society. But for most people, for the average person who is working class or middle class or has a college education, come on, you know. Like I had this guy comment, he commented on my post something about just personal responsibility, self-reliance. And he commented that I was making a privileged take because I was a heterosexual white male. This dumb fuck didn't even take the 3 seconds it would take to click on my profile and realize that I'm black. This is the state of society right now. You need to get out. You need to join me because you don't want to be on the pessimist road. I see the way things are splitting, and yeah, it is going to be bad for the pessimist. It's going to be really good for the optimist, though. It's going to be really good. It is good. There are people thriving in spite of the unfairness of life. Be one of them. Okay. Like the video. If it hits you the right way, leave a comment. Feel free to share your take. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I will be back with more soon.